Yes, we are back to episode 73? 73. We're on 73. Episode 73 of Screen Preach. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming back. To all those who do listen and or watch, check in, view. If you just want to know what I'm thinking, it's cool for anybody who knows me. They know I'm the movie guy. They know that I have interesting takes on things sometimes that I've seen or what I think of things at all in any way, movie related, TV related. There's a lot of things always going on in my world over here. So, yeah, people know that if they want to know what I'm thinking about something, they can check right here. It's funny. It's funny when I have the friends who know that they can watch this and know what I'm thinking about a movie, but instead they still just text me and ask because it's easier and quicker. I get it. I need like a clip system, right? I need like something that like a clip. Like I need to put out more clips from the show, not just a preview and one single clip. But it's a lot of editing. There's a lot of. I like making the posts. I like doing this part. The editing of some things is just there's so much, and you know the deal now. Like I do it when I can. Here we are, episode 73. Last time I saw everybody was in March. 2 months now. I told you it was gonna be a couple months. Did the Batman. That was great. I loved that episode. I loved doing all of the things themed around it, centered around it and everything. So this is another one I knew, like, okay, once Moon Knight comes to an end and then Halo, I wanted to talk about them. They were the fresh new thing of back when I was watching the Batman for the first time. And I didn't realize just how obviously it was going to be Doctor Strange that lined up with everything. I told you I was going to talk about the Northman. If you follow me on Instagram, I mentioned it, but that's going to be more of a quick take. It's kind of like a new segment I'm doing where I just very quickly talk about some of the new things that are out, and if, obviously I've seen them, and I'll just go through it a little bit, tell you what I thought about certain things. Always got to admire my setup because it's helpful to just get comfortable real quick, jump behind, and just go. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is our topic this week, along with Moon Knight and Halo. Moon Knight, you can find all 6 episodes now on Disney+. Halo, you can find all 9 episodes now on Paramount+. Just watched the finale for that yesterday. And as for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, you probably can expect it on digital before you know it. And I guess Disney Plus before you know it. But I suppose, they still wait a decent amount of time. It's in theaters. Go check it out. I know I need to see it again. I really do. I usually have this rule where I go into a new movie completely fresh, completely open-minded, completely just clear-minded. Like, I like to just take it in and not be impaired in any way. Like, not smoke weed or drink or anything. But this time I went in the first screening high as a kite, and I was drinking a beer during. Actually, I had 2. Went with a buddy. You remember Dave Farrow? Dave Farrow will be joining us shortly via telephone to give his thoughts on the movie a little bit too. Why not? I figured we might as well ring, give a call to the Monster Realm and see what's up over there and what they're thinking about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That's where Dave Farrow resides, at the Monster Realm. It's actually above me. Not below, it's up there. Maybe he'll talk more about that too if I ask him. get into that, what the monster realm actually is. But yeah, it's literally 12:54 a.m. No joke. I, I, I've done what you know that I've done worse. Like this is not even that late. Um, so obviously, let's get it rolling. I'm literally in my underwear. You can't see that, but I am. Right here, right now, I'm in my underwear. Comfortable. And watch, I'll go through and edit it later, and somehow you can see my balls or something in a reflection, right? um, no. But I did want to. I needed to talk. The way the podcast works now. It's something that's just racking in my brain a lot. That's when I go, okay, time to do a podcast episode, because it's like I can't stop thinking about all these things, so might as well write them down, and then that turns into the next podcast episode. So that was what it was. I mean, to say the least, no matter what you hear me say or talk about Doctor Strange, it was the kind of movie that just was kicking around in my brain and had me like just thinking all kinds of things afterwards, good and bad, I guess. But yeah, so here we are for episode 73, and I will give you a little update too. Obviously, we got a lot of stuff coming out. I mean, it's crazy. As I'll say in every episode, 2022 is insane. Like with all the stuff that's coming out. I mean, by the time I do the next episode, it'll be like Stranger Things and Jurassic World and fucking God knows what else. Um, it's just gonna keep going here. Miss Marvel's coming next for Marvel, and we got the first She-Hulk trailer. But I'll get into the news now. Let me get into the news now here. I go through quick as I do, but I will not be doing Fantastic Beasts or Morbius. Morbius shit the bed. I haven't seen them. When I get around to them, I will. Maybe I'll talk about it in a later episode. But I was gonna do my awards themed one. I didn't get to that. I probably won't. It'll just be random when I talk about those movies, if I talk about those movies. And a quick change on episode 75. As you know, every 25 episodes I do a special episode, and episode 75 was going to be my Tarantino-themed episode. It has changed, considering this is the year of The Godfather's 50th anniversary, and by request from my mother, it makes sense. Episode 75, the next Screen Preach special, will be the 50th anniversary of The Godfather Screen Preach special. Should be fun. The Godfather is one of my favorite movies of all time. For a long time, it was my favorite movie in my youth. Goodfellas just over time aged in a way that became, Goodfellas is my favorite movie of all time, right? And I've said before, sometimes it's like, oh, this week, this movie's my favorite, but like, no matter what, I will always say Goodfellas is my favorite movie of all time. No matter what, though, objectively, The Godfather to me is the greatest masterpiece of cinema. I think objectively, The Godfather is the greatest film, the greatest movie ever made, and I'm looking forward to talking about it. Probably talk about the sequels as well in that episode. Make it a full Godfather thing. That will be the 75th. That'll be a special. That'll be down the road at the end of the summer, probably. Episode 74, who knows, somewhere in between here and then, obviously, it'll be, and what we talking about, we'll see. But, yeah, I just like that I can do this when I want to do it and everything, but I don't have to feel like it's got to be another job. And yeah, my new segment is quick takes on things I've seen. So sometimes instead of doing an episode on something, it didn't seem like it made the cut for a full topic discussion, so it'll be a quick take instead. We have some today. But first, news of the week, and now I do it a little differently. It's just the way it is. It's the way it's been. Obviously, after all the Spider-Man drama, Sam Raimi said he'd be game to make another Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that? And since everything exists in another reality now in Marvel, what the fuck's stopping us? Ahsoka, the TV series on Disney Plus, next Star Wars outing, is going to have Peter Ramsey direct at least one episode of the spin-off series. And there's the fact that Disney Plus and Marvel's Ironheart has added Ryan Coogler as a producer of the series. Makes sense, I guess. I mean, Coogler doing the Black Panther sequel. Ironheart herself is supposed to make her MCU debut in Wakanda Forever later this year, not in her series. Her debut will be in something else first, which I always love because it's very on point with the comics and how debuts happen. I just always love when that happens. So that'll be cool, and Coogler as a producer makes sense. And not only did Sam Raimi say he'd be game, he thinks it's possible for Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, so there's that. If you've watched Doom Patrol, you know that there's that whole arc with the Detective Dead Boys. Well, they are officially making it into a series on HBO Max. So they're getting their own series for yet another spin-off. Warner Bros. Discovery exploring an overhaul of DC Entertainment. Because let's do again and again and again and again and again. Just not knowing what to do with their fucking content over there. Umbrella Academy star David Castaneda joins Natasha Lyonne, Ryan Johnson for Ryan Johnson Peacock series Poker Face. Anything Ryan Johnson's doing is interesting to me. There's the fact that Thor: Love and Thunder dropped its trailer, a couple new posters, a couple new stills, some details. Yeah, and Natalie Portman is going to be suited up as the mighty Thor. It is happening, and that is weeks and weeks away now, just very close as we near July. Jason Momoa to star in the Minecraft live-action movie. My sister will love that. Because it's Minecraft related. The Flash teases Michael Keaton's return as Batman. The Batman sequel has been announced officially. We knew that was coming. I was telling someone the other day, though, I think they should really take advantage of the fact that we could finally have a really, really seriously good Batman TV series on HBO Max. Turn this into a TV series instead. Honestly, let's take Matt Reeves' universe and make it adapted over to TV. I mean, they're already doing 2 shows anyway. Just bring it all over. You know, HBO. You can go even darker if you want. I think you can go even more if you want, a little bit. Take it even further. Why not? But nonetheless, of course, I'm gonna be excited for a sequel. If he's planning a trilogy and we get the next great Batman trilogy over here, I'm not gonna complain. Adam Sandler confirms a new Safdie Brothers film that he'll be a part of. If you don't know, obviously he did Uncut Gems with the Safdie Brothers, and that was great. The Hunger Games prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, gets a late 2023 release date. Disney's The Marvels and Ant-Man and the Wasp 2, Quantumanium, they have swapped their release dates. I love how people will post inaccurate fucking news. Like somebody was like, oh, they're scraping the Marvels. No, they're not. The Marvels is just being swapped with Quantumanium, the release dates. Marvel's Echo, Disney Plus series, which has started production, has added Reservation Dogs actress Deveray Jacobs, however you say that. Sorry about the butchering of names, but that's what I'm known for on here. John Watts pulled out of Fantastic Four, so they'll be looking for somebody else to do Fantastic Four. Meanwhile, John Watts signs on to do some Star Wars projects instead. I'm sure Marvel will hire the right vision. But we have a full Marvel thing today. This is a Marvel episode because, I mean, obviously 2 of our topics are Marvel. But I'm just going to get into that a little bit today and how things are progressing now that we're full on into Phase 4 of this thing. That 70s show spinoff, That 90s Show, will reunite most of the original series casts. That is official. There was a first look photo, and it's coming sooner than you think. We just don't have a release date yet. The Dune prequel series for HBO Max is set 10,000 years prior to the movie. That's fucking crazy. That's great. I mean, that's unbelievable. That they're really exploring this whole thing that in depth. new Jackass spin-off series in the works at Paramount Plus. That'll probably get quite an audience, I would think. I mean, don't forget, Jackass started as a TV series before it was any of these movies. And they're going back to it, back to their roots. I wonder if they, Jackass is continuously on the air and whatnot. On the air, is that even how we say it anymore? I wonder if there's eventually a chance for Bam Margera to eventually make his way back. Christopher Walken joins Dune Part 2 as the big bad, Emperor Shaddam. Emperor Shaddam the Fourth. I would assume that's the villain. I haven't read the books, so I don't know. I'm literally going off the movies, and there's been one of them. Black Mirror is officially returning for a 6th season. Pirates of the Caribbean 6, which way back said Margot Robbie would be in it. May or may not have Johnny Depp in it. They're still working that out. There's a chance. At least that's what Bruckheimer said. Star Wars series inspired by 80s Amblin films in the works from John Watts. So yeah, it's inspired by 80s Amblin films. So it did a little more of a nostalgic feel to his project in the Star Wars universe. There's the first She-Hulk trailer. Obviously that was huge. And I fucked up and posted the trailer without sound. Fucking bullshit. It looks interesting. Everything looks good because I'm a Marvel fan. Everything looks good, but then you watch some things now and you either love it or you're not sure how to feel about it. That's where I'm at now, I think, these days, and I'll get into it more. But yeah, I mean, a couple of big things happened this week. So first of all, once again, we're returning here for our, what seems like our usual Sheridan Universe updates. So, big news in the Sheridan Universe. We have official release dates for most of the shows coming and returning this year in the Sheridan Universe. Yellowstone Season 5 officially airing on November 13th. Along with that, Sylvester Stallone and Terrence Winter are involved in Sheridan's Tulsa King series, which will also be airing on November 13th. Supposed to be a 2-hour premiere. Other returning shows as well, like Mayor of Kingstown. And then the fact that in the Sheridan Universe, the second Yellowstone prequel, 1932, has officially casted its lead roles. Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren will be the next members of the Dutton family that we meet. It's just fucking amazing that who he's getting to play this family in the different generations. Definitely looking forward to that. That has me hyped as shit. Harrison Ford as a outlaw / gangster, because let's be real about the period this one takes place in. He won't be playing a gangster, obviously. He'll still be a Dutton, right? He'll still be a cowboy, right? But in this time of like prohibition and everything, yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm thinking like there's a feel to this like Lawless, if you've ever seen that film, that they're going for. I can't fathom how exciting it is to know that, yeah, in 2022, just yet another. I mean, 2022 is so stacked as it is, and I wasn't sure really how much of the Sheridan Universe would really be coming out this year or not, if they were going to take some time off or not. But he's just he's in such a creative space, Sheridan. He just keeps on working, and his stories continue to be told every year, and I could not be more excited. The other big thing that was announced just a couple days ago, and it's huge. It's huge for so many different reasons. It have finally, it have finally, it have finally. It bear with me. It is 1 a.m. It have finally, it officially has happened where we have confirmed what has been rumored. Marvel is bringing Daredevil back into the fold. This time officially. A new Daredevil series is in the works at Disney Plus, with Charlie Cox returning to the role, but with new writers hired. It's supposed to be a continuation of the story we've already seen, but also a fresh take on it at the same time. Makes sense considering all the changes and whatnot, but you gotta hope, and we'll get into it today, that they don't deviate from the tone of Daredevil from Netflix. That was what made it so special. If they butcher that, it's gonna be a problem. Nonetheless, how can you not be pumped to know that that character and the actor who played him is returning? It's everything I wanted to hear. Of all the news they could have announced, I was looking forward to that one. The only other thing they have to do now is confirm that at some point Namor is happening and a Hulk movie. I want another Hulk movie. It's been way too long. She-Hulk is just a tease to it. In a way, it kind of is the whole thing. But I think we also just found out this week that She-Hulk's going to be 9 episodes instead of 6, which we originally thought was going to be 6. We have quite a Hulk storyline, and we have a very important character making her debut. Jennifer Walters is huge in the comics. She's a big-time Avenger and everything. So, yeah, Marvel, great stuff to hear as we talk about it more today. Let's do my quick takes. I mentioned it. I mentioned that there were things that I've seen that I don't feel like doing full topic discussions on. For instance, The Northman. What else can I say about it other than it is definitely a Robert Eggers epic. If he were to ever make an epic, this was it. This was his epic. And so very much in the style of his, the kind of tone that he likes to play with, the kind of abstract creativity that he likes to play with. It's very, very, very much a mindfuck of a film. And it's raw, it's brutal, it's just everything you would want from an Eggers flick, and then some. I think, if nothing else, for me, Robert Eggers films have kind of been on par as all very, very bold in their own way. Just whatever Eggers does is just different, and I like different. I like when different is executed in good quality like he does, and make for interesting films that we don't normally see. And The Northman was definitely that. It just the way it's shot, the way it was, the cinematography of it all, and the way the performances, and well, quite frankly, the violence, the brutality of it. That's really what keeps striking me about that film. I'm just thinking for a minute. I know that it's hard to put how you feel about that movie into words, honestly. There's a lot going on. It's so embedded in the surreal that you kind of just have to run with it. Once you accept what's going on, then you can run with it. and the writing is very good because you care. And I think that's the most important part. As long as you can stick with the character through it, it's gonna be, if nothing else, a decent film. And it was more than that. It was good. Um, you gotta like that style. You gotta like that tone and everything. But yeah, Ozark came to an end officially while we were on this little Screen Preach hiatus. Ozark came to an end with its final episodes, and it was a decent ending. It it could have been better. It wasn't as much of a close to things. There what didn't feel like as much resolution, and it was very grim, very very grim, and there was a lot of pessimistic undertones to the way I felt. There was also a weird cut to black that was oddly trying to play on something we've seen. And then it was in other shows, specifically that one. And then it's just like, well, this idea though that at the end of the day, what the path that Marty started us on, it ended with complete sin. There was no way out. I guess as the tagline of it says, no one gets out clean. The sin of sheer greed and the toxic nature of it and how it can affect people around you and destroy and continue to just create chaos. This whole thing, this original sin of Marty and the way it spread, that was the resolution of the whole thing, because it came kind of full circle in that it destroyed any chance of righteousness that remained for the birds. The only way out was completely through. And that was one thing that I felt. That they had to do the one thing that they can never come back from in order to get out. I won't spoil things with the quick takes if I can help it. But there are deaths that plunge the family completely into the filth if they weren't already, and thereby ruining other lives too. Another thing I won't spoil. But there's just a thing about it also feeling like Breaking Bad with the way it ended, and the fact that Walter White, his selfish pursuits just created chaos for those around him, and specifically Jesse Pinkman. That felt familiar to what we had here. If you think about it, you know what I mean. So it's also the way they built to that climax. It wasn't as invigorating as I thought it would be. So it was an average end to the series. It wasn't a great end. And that's a shame, because at the end of the day, it will always be some of the best quality television that I've seen, which is great, because it was that. Then we have The Offer. Okay, The Offer came out. It's something I just have to tell everybody. It's a must-watch. Keeping it with this whole Godfather-themed year that we seem to have with the anniversary. This show is about the making of The Godfather and how there were certain mob aspects to the making of it. There were people involved. There was drama behind the thing, and it almost was never made. The greatest movie ever made was almost never made, and all the little things that could have gone wrong, and they all just slowly started to go right because of things that are just crazy. There's so much drama, and it's a great series. It's a one and done, so don't worry about it like being like, oh, another thing. Watch this one season. We're 6 episodes in. I recommend it. Severance, slow burning show that you have to really pay attention to and stick with. But you'll appreciate the mystery aspect of it and want to know how things unfold if you stick with it. And it's just a very strange series, but worth checking out. It's on Apple TV+. The Offer you can find on Paramount+. Ozark, obviously Netflix. The Northman is in theaters. And that is my quick takes for episode 73. With that being said, we can move in to our topics. We will talk about all three of them in the name of the Godfather, the Son of Odin, and the Holy Jedi. Let's start with Moon Knight, because I'll use it to segue into Doctor Strange, which is, I suppose, that's our main topic. It'll be in the middle, and I'll just kind of segue us out with a quick my take on Halo. So, Moon Knight, a show and a character that I've been waiting to see forever, it feels like. And I've been saying it. What have I been saying? I've been saying it over and over and over and over again, right? You gotta be able to allow for flexibility and tone for certain characters that are now coming into the universe. Moon Knight was the first test of that. Did they pass? They passed, but they didn't get an A+. They didn't do exactly what I expected them to do. So let's get into it a little bit here. This show, it wasn't just a test for me. I'm sure it was a test for many people. Marvel, they need to allow themselves to evolve and adapt beyond this formula. It's this formula that we've seen and that we've known for the last decade. I know they say if it isn't broke, don't fix it, but if Phase 4 of the MCU has taught us anything so far, it's that it's doing everything it should and everything it shouldn't, kind of at the exact same time. And that's disconcerting for me and any other fan. I feel like just a little bit. What I mean by that is simply that Feige's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to find the right flow. He's trying to find the right groove for how the narrative continues, for how the formula changes. I do think he's trying to evolve. Like, now, for instance, there's a new abundance of projects that are coming out all the time, more than we're used to. And we've gone from watching 2 or 3 movies a year to, I don't know, 3 or 4 movies plus 3 or 4 TV shows a year. It's kind of a huge leap. And I'll get into this more in Doctor Strange, too, in the Doctor Strange discussion. But what Moon Knight was supposed to do was show us that Marvel is willing to tackle some heavier themes than we've seen before. And it was supposed to go darker than we've seen before. It was supposed to just be something really fresh. Something more on par with the Marvel Netflix shows, right? Especially for a character like this. Moon Knight was a bit darker, I will say, than other projects. But not to the place that I would have liked them to see, I would have liked them to take the character. It's not as gritty as I thought they should have gone. You can still feel Marvel's shiny Disney coat over it a little bit at many moments. Okay, fine. It didn't really matter in the end for me, because I think overall it tackled themes that were super important and executed it quite well. But sometimes I wish there were more episodes too, to not only explore Mark's character a bit more, but to allow for less filler. I gotta get this. I gotta say my piece about this. I think I'm not a huge fan of when shows hone in on one character or one idea for an entire episode. It's not something I'm crazy about, and it's just a taste thing, really. It might be, but for me, I think it halts the narrative in a way that I don't really appreciate it. And I'll give you an example. Now, Breaking Bad is a masterpiece, right? If The Sopranos isn't the greatest show ever made, Breaking Bad is. And there's an episode that is considered one of the best written episodes of television. And I know you know what it is, right? It's the one titled Fly, right? And as a writer, I totally understand its brilliance. As a viewer, I can skip that episode. I can skip it, and probably will skip it every time I rewatch it. Because aside from it expressing in full the mental state of Walter White and how he's further declining into madness, it's also boring as fuck. And I don't like when shows veer away from the season's overall narrative to do a character study. Find a way to do it within a complete episode. Walking Dead failed because it did this too often. Fillers are killers. That's just how I feel. Game of Thrones succeeded because it basically never did this. It masterfully executed the multi-perspective approach to TV. Halo, which I'll get into, is in jeopardy of this, potentially. And we'll get into that. It's also got the potential to become the next great... I'll get into Halo. But Moon Knight had a brilliant episode, right? It had a brilliant episode called Asylum. It was a character study. One that, in the context of this series, was definitely needed. It was dramatic, it was emotional, it was heartbreaking, super grounded. It was dark, too. It actually took the series to the darkest place, and to the darkest I've seen Marvel go in terms of, like, the topic, at the center of it all. But it also was one of those fillers, because it was a full episode in a total of 6 where we completely veer away from the overall plot. So Mark Spector and Stephen Grant and that dynamic, as well as laying the groundwork for a third altar, which I very much knew was around, was brilliant and terrifying at times. It was chaotic and hilarious. It was charming and emotional, but also, as a comic fan and a fan of this character, someone I've been waiting to see on screen since I played with the action figures as a boy, I was a little bit disappointed with the amount of screen time the alter ego, Moon Knight, actually gets. Now, this is saved by, obviously, a very fun and eventful finale, but it seems I can't get over how quickly Mark Spector and Stephen Grant, as well as Moon Knight and Mr. Knight, were in and out of my life this year. You know what I mean? Very quick. Very quick. And we don't exactly know when they're gonna show up again. That's just, it seems like a season 2 is the right thing to do, but I just don't know that they will. Performances were so unbelievable that it damn near made the show as good as it was. So that at the end of the day, performances really just Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke, and just that was great. So there's that. But overall, Moon Knight could have been great. That's the thing. That's what I say. It was very good. It could have been great. Marvel just needs to figure out how to approach certain characters a little differently than they've done in the past. What was cool about this is that it allowed us to turn away from the overall MCU megaplot for a moment. So, like, Moon Knight does kind of stand on its own, only subtly hinting at other things in the universe. But what's not helpful about a project doing that right now is that as we transition into Doctor Strange, Marvel may have a bigger problem on their hands, and it concerns the overall narrative and the interconnected nature of it. Interconnected nature of this universe. Or should I say now, multiverse. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. How about that segue? Has been, it's like I said, it's a movie that's been kicking around in my head ever since I saw it. So, that's, if nothing else, that's a testament to why I consider it a success. At the very least, it was very successful for me. Albeit a flawed success. The fact that I didn't love it the way I loved No Way Home, and I was expecting it to potentially top No Way Home, was the letdown of this, I guess. I don't know, it left an impression on me either. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing in this context, but it left an impression on me after I walked out of that theater. The movie, it really did. It sent me through a wave of different emotions as I the whole week after seeing it. I did love it for at least the first act. Like, that's the thing about the movie. I'm watching it as it goes along, and the first act, I'm like, oh my god, what is it people don't like? What happens? Why does it start to, I'm like, I don't really. And I've said it before. I don't go in with expectations. I don't care what other people thought of it. That's not even the thing. I'm just like, I had heard that people were like, it was a little bit disappointing. And as I'm watching the first act, I'm like totally in love with the movie. But it seems to me Feige, at the end of the day, the best way I can describe it is he's trying to figure out how this next saga is supposed to flow. getting back to what we were talking about before, the amount of projects I think comes into play. It's both innovative and fresh to have the universe be more expansive. To have TV shows now is great. I think that's a great step forward. I've said that before. But Feige is still trying to figure out how this is supposed to all feel. How new projects with characters and stories that are much different from those of the Infinity Saga are supposed to be approached. There are going to be underwhelming outings. I said this when I talked about Eternals. Because the heads of Marvel, I think they're more overwhelmed now with the amount of content they're putting out. Black Widow and Eternals are a good example of that. Mind you, I think they're still doing a pretty good job, all things considered. But, I mean, just the fact that there are still hits. No Way Home was a hit, and it was not that long ago. But, I mean, WandaVision was a hit, Shang-Chi was a hit, Loki was a hit. It's not uncommon for Feige to have to feel things out. I don't think it's uncommon for him to have to feel things out and try and figure out how things are supposed to go. I mean, people forget this, but Phase 2 wasn't exactly a hit after the Avengers. Phase 1. I mean, not many people remember this, but after Iron Man was a hit, right? Feige had to figure things out a little bit. There were a few underwhelming outings. I mean, it wasn't until the Avengers that they had another hit. Feige, he had to figure out how this interconnected thing was going to really begin, and then again, he had to figure out how it was going to go. So, like, Phase 2 wasn't exactly a hit either. Not every risk paid off. Not every risk is going to pay off. Guardians was a risk that paid off. Eternals was a risk that didn't exactly pay off. I still really like Eternals. I think it was bold in a different way than people expected it to be bold. It's flawed, so it's not exactly a hit. Mind you, I still think it's hard to say that they flop. That they don't flop. Marvel's not flopping right now. They've never flopped. I don't think they'll exactly flop. If they flop, it'll be a really sad day, I think. But I don't think it's uncommon for Feige to try and figure things out a little bit. And that's what this movie and even Moon Knight feels like to me. Like he's figuring out how he's going to play with tone and how his next saga is going to really feel and go. They're just, they're figuring it out. And I think they will. My worry is that there's a lack of awareness to how the narrative is flowing. There's quite a lot of things being set up and not enough being paid off. I'll chalk that up to just the amount of content coming out. So they're spreading out when they will pay off setups a little bit more. I mean, yeah, obviously Thanos had to pop up every other fucking movie in the Infinity Saga because, I mean, it was only so many projects, so it was, you kind of, but then again, shouldn't it be the reverse? Like, there's so many projects, now we really need you to keep reminding us that, like, Kang is out there, and it does seem a little bit like this was the perfect film for Kang to show up again. But I guess they're waiting for Quantumanium to really pull that trigger. But I'm trying to have faith that they'll figure this out. But getting back to Doctor Strange, here was a film with the perfect opportunity to really kick things into a new gear for the saga, right? Maybe pay off more than just Wanda's arc, right? So the multiverse starts to make more sense now, while also somehow it's still becoming a little bit confusing. And this is the thing I kept battling with. Like, sometimes I'm just like, I was like, oh, why? I wish they would have executed that little thing a little bit differently, or this little thing a little bit differently. It's just not 100% clear how all of this works or how one thing connects to another anymore. For instance, Loki's finale really set up the idea that the multiverse had busted wide open, right? But when we return to the MCU after that big plot point, there's nothing to tell us there's any real ramifications from that. Like, The introduction of Kang feels less significant than it did after spending an entire film in the multiverse and not at least running into another Kang variant. And that's just something I can't get over. Or how the spell from No Way Home has affected things here. Like, did it really affect anything? And I said it wasn't gonna, because he kind of fixes things at the end, Doctor Strange, so it doesn't really have to. But a little more clarity, you know? I suppose the multiverse is more open because of that, maybe. But why? If it is, why? You know? It's like, it's kind of like the Dark World plot hole all over again. Remember in Thor the Dark World? It didn't make sense how right after the events of the Avengers, there was another alien ship coming to Earth in London, and the only person dealing with it was Thor. Didn't seem to catch the attention of anybody else, not a single other Avenger, all that kind of things. You know, all that bullshit. It just was a weird kind of plot holy thing that I didn't like. And I felt a little bit of that here in this movie with a couple of things. I don't know. But you tell me, you agree? When should certain forces get involved in certain events, like the TVA or the Watcher? Maybe something else here. Instead, they brought in another sort of aspect of the multiverse, like that was big and then immediately became nothing. And of course, I'm talking about the Illuminati. But another problem, which I never liked even in the Infinity Saga, was that projects don't release chronologically, so it can make it confusing until you realize until someone comes along, until Feige explains, okay, this actually happens here, this happens here, this happens here. So, Doctor Strange, we know that clearly takes place after No Way Home, but does it take place before Loki, after Loki? I mean, especially since even Loki itself seems to take place out of time, or in between all of it. So it's like hard to say where that really happens. And then there's the Illuminati sequence that everybody's either gushing over or not exactly gushing over. I don't think I'm gushing over the whole thing, but it's almost as if the film up to that point was perfect for me. Like, I was loving it, and then I was thrown off. Not because it wasn't epic, because it was. It was very epic. I mean, and again, here's Marvel actually being bold in certain areas. Like, the gore, the violence, and the horror of this movie was all very awesome. But something about killing off every hero in that sequence left me feeling let down, and I'll explain why. I think I understood after the fact that in order to always keep things grounded in the reality that we've known thus far, right? We had to not feel connected to any of those characters. The MCU will somehow always have to be centered in the now titled Earth 616, which I predicted, by the way, that they would officially call it that. And it's a comic thing. That's from the comics. It's very accurate. And so we now know that the reality that we have known and that we have spent the last 10 plus years in, that is called 616. So the deaths, right? The deaths of the Illuminati, spoilers, of course, keep us caring about the characters we meet in our universe and makes variants from other universes we meet expendable in a way, right? But still, I get it. I get that. I don't 100% agree. I couldn't help but feel like if you could just leave the door open on one of those characters, it lets us know that it's okay to care about characters from other universes, and that we might spend time with characters from other universes, get to know them, see their stories. And this is, in my opinion, it's been more powerful for me because it actually gives the multiverse agency. Like consider the multiverse a character. It gives the multiverse agency. If you don't consider characters we meet from the multiverse just like as treated as like a gimmick or a prop or something. And here's the thing: we actually have gotten to know characters from other universes and have come to care about them. So that's good. I'm just saying here specifically, maybe do it here because there's a lot of death going on in that sequence. I mean, for instance, even America Chavez, she's not from our universe, and we're going to get to know her a lot better. We already got to know her quite well, I suppose. I'll get into that too. Loki did it because Lady Loki's she's a variant, and we get to know her very well. We care about her. Even Loki himself in that show, technically another variant. Don't forget the Loki we knew and loved that died at the hands of Thanos in Endgame. So as I sit with the film, things start to feel a little bit better for me. I grow to accept things, but at first I didn't, and some things are still a little, I don't know. The sequence did tell us a couple of things, though. For one, Wanda Maximoff here, in the entire film, proved to be the most powerful being in the multiverse, in the Marvel Universe. Only few probably match her power at this point, some of which we might not have even met yet. But it also told us something important with that sequence again. It told us that these characters exist. These Illuminati characters, they exist or will exist. I think the smartest thing that Feige did in this case was cast John Krasinski for this Fantastic Four. What I mean by this Fantastic Four is that the smartest thing he can do going forward is cast the Fantastic Four with actors that we haven't yet seen or met. Krasinski was cool, but also a complete fan service, and expressed exactly what I always said about Krasinski in that role. It's that he's too old. Yes, he plays a great version of Reed Richards that has been around a while, has been through a lot. He's fought wars, he's accomplished things, he's had kids with Sue. Completely sensical to me, a decision to make Krasinski play a veteran Reed Richards. Just as logical as to have Patrick Stewart return again and play a veteran Professor X. But on Earth 616, our reality, our narrative that we've been following, we haven't met Reed Richards yet. We haven't met Charles Xavier yet. So I think it's important that when we do, we meet them cast with actors we haven't seen yet. Or have them come in from other universes somehow. Make it just work that way. It just plays better, I think. It also helps because having different actors, it also continues to set a precedent that Multiverse of Madness seemed to kind of abandon a little bit. This idea that variants of you may not look like you. This was something No Way Home did. When we met other Peter Parkers, they didn't look like our Peter Parker, right? But in this, it seems every Doctor Strange variant looks like every other Doctor Strange variant. But we need exactly what I said. We need Fantastic Four characters to not be the same ones. They need to just be different actors because sometimes they'll look the same, but sometimes they should be different completely. It allows you to even play even further with the idea that there's different versions of characters. If we ever want to see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine pop up in this universe, this is how you do that. If you want to see fucking the Tom Cruise Tony Stark, this is how you do that. So I think that's also key, that in a subtle way, this sequence is it's as long as it's executed properly down the road, this is going to be huge. Do not cast John Krasinski. Definitely don't cast fucking Patrick Stewart again. Like, it needs to be fresh when we see these characters. We want to get to know and see the journey of Reed Richards and his team, not meet one that's been around and been through it all. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. I don't know why that would work for you. I want to see it done by Feige and Marvel. I want to see it done, the whole thing. It's so important, I think. On the bright side of a gruesome sequence like the Illuminati Massacre, no matter what, these characters, it did confirm they will show up. I think that's the big thing. It did confirm we will be seeing some pretty fucking great characters that we've been waiting to see. That was huge. The performances all around were great, and Elizabeth Olsen, she stole the show. I mean, there were arcs for each character, and the only one that I thought was a little bit lacking, I thought America Chavez, I thought she was a little bit underdeveloped, but we have time to really develop her story, so it's fine. But I have to say, my piece about things, certain things, especially things people are shitting on, because I just don't agree. I want to be very clear. Okay, the reason this film wasn't as great as it should have been for me, the reason it was flawed was because it was rushed. These were my problems with it. It was a rushed plot. It's oddly paced. And some things were underdeveloped. Some things were overheightened. Like we just talked about, certain things that are overheightened. The fact that I could feel Feige's hand a little bit in this, that's unusual, I think. And yet, again, that messiness is him. Like I said, it's him really trying to figure this out. But let's be clear, I don't think at all that he impeded on Raimi's vision for this film. People saying that Raimi's vision's not here, it's fucking here. I see it's all Raimi. The whole fucking movie is Raimi. I could feel every frame of this film is Sam fucking Raimi, man. And it was brilliantly Sam Raimi. I mean, from the heart to the production to the humor to the direction to the themes, the way he utilizes CGI, all of it. All of it was fucking Raimi. So I don't want to hear that fucking shit. I mean, that's just not accurate. But at the same time, Feige is trying to figure it out. Raimi comes in and actually does the bold approach to a story that we want to see. Where Moon Knight kind of faltered, this film stood out because it was the scariest, it was the bloodiest, it was the most mature outing the MCU has ever had. And that's something. And that's something Feige should look to when considering how to tackle new characters and new team-ups and new plot threads when bringing this all together. Boldly approaching tone is key, because what happens when you have to bring the narrative all together and tones mesh. So like knowing how Moon Knight should feel, how Daredevil should feel, how this should feel, Doctor Strange, and then when certain characters have to meet each other, how that should feel, should be different from when they're alone, and yet brilliant. So it's all kind of, you want to have hope that it's going to get worked out. I guess my final note, as I've rambled on here, is that I have to be clear. The biggest annoyance I have with people right now critiquing this movie is that they're trying to say that Wanda her arc didn't make sense, or it devalued WandaVision's arc, her arc from that show. Wrong. She was brilliant. She was incredible. There was the last thing that was wrong with this movie was Wanda Maximoff or Elizabeth Olsen, from performance to story arc, all the way around. It was the next thing that I wanted to see from this character, and I assumed everyone else did too. So I don't exactly understand. And here's why you're wrong, by the way. Okay? Wanda's arc was literally always going to take her to this place, one way or the other, right? Whether it was going to be this soon or not, we didn't know. But the whole fake out they did, they really bait and switched us with Wanda in this, made her the villain. I thought it was brilliant. Like I said, I'm watching the first act, and when she reveals herself, it's all brilliant. All of it. How the storytellers were going to go about it, we weren't sure, but here's a person, right, who's been grieving for literally months and months and months and months and months straight, right? Wanda Maximoff arc, it is untainted because Wanda herself went through a period of conflict, made mistakes, and overcame them. That's WandaVision, okay? Stay with me for all you slow people out there. What the post-credit scene of WandaVision did, and was telling us very clearly, as the whole show told us too, even the way that Agatha Harkness even the way she kind of has this kind of moment of breaking free. There's a small tad moment of like her realizing that the Darkhold had a hold on her. So here's the whole thing for you. What that post-credit scene tells us is that the Darkhold was going to possess and manipulate anyone reading it. And that's exactly what happens to Wanda in that scene. That's the beginning of her being possessed by the Darkhold. Plainly put, she was corrupted by the Darkhold. She became the most corrupt version of the Scarlet Witch we could have gotten. Thus, all logic and sympathy goes out the window when the intensity of chaos magic consumes your very fucking soul. Guided by a force that is as evil as the demon who wrote it, the villain we get is not the same Wanda we watched seek forgiveness and sulk away from Westview before the credits roll in WandaVision. The villain we get is the one we see in her infancy being formed after the credits of WandaVision. The performance was fantastic, terrifying, and emotional, not to mention the fact that Elizabeth Olsen literally moved into this. She stopped filming WandaVision and started filming Doctor Strange. She didn't have to break character. She just moved the arc. She moved the development of this character right in the direction it was supposed to go. So, I mean, I literally cried, dude. I cried. The fact that I cared this much about a villain is exactly... It's turning a hero into a villain at like the perfect time. All of that made sense. All of that. It's why she's going to forever now be in the top 5 Marvel villains that we ever get. And I immediately empathizing with the villain, and because I spent the last 7 years with the character, I knew her as a good person, and I got to watch her break bad, and it was heartbreaking. It's why her moment of realization at the end, a moment when the real Wanda breaks through the power of the Darkhold, is so powerful. It's well executed. Wanda's able to return at the opportune moment to destroy the Darkhold, and not just in our universe. She destroys it in every universe. And that included destroying herself, presumably. And perhaps the ultimate sacrifice was not simply destroying herself. The ultimate sacrifice was destroying any chance of truly reuniting with her children, which is the most heartbreaking thing of all. So, with that being said, by no means do I think Wanda's arc was tainted. And by no means do I think she's gone forever. But in the context of this story, we last leave her being buried under a mountain of rubble. So, I don't know. The Scarlet Witch immediately became one of the best villains in the MCU. And overall, I think Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was flawed but fun and too damn enjoyable to be anything less than a pretty damn good flick, for the most part. Could it have been great? Yeah. Did it top other ones? No, but the last thing it was garbage. It was just so damn enjoyable. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you about that. I mean, I could ask a friend what he thinks. So why don't we call the Monster Realm, I mean, for a minute and see what Dave Farrow thinks about the whole thing. Oh shit. That is us rating the Monster Realm. I don't even know if we're going to be able to hear him very good. Will he answer? If he doesn't, we'll have to move. It is. It is Dave Farrow, everybody. It is the Monster Realm that we have entered.
Well, I'm over here in the Monster Realm. It doesn't look too good down here.
No, how's it looking? Actually, I was explaining before that the Monster Realm is actually above me.
Well, if that's what you think.
Oh, so it's the upside down.
Exactly. But something doesn't look right down here.
Oh,
in
yeah?
fact, I think I saw the Earth 6169 U.
Me? Earth 6169? That one doesn't sound good.
It's not very fun.
No, he sounds like he's probably he needs to take a timeout. Did you get him a
Well, how?
drink? Did you sit him down and
Oh,
have a discussion with him?
oh my gosh. Yeah, he needs help. Honestly. So in his realm, Screen Preach is Monster Realm,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm the Screen Preach.
I see.
It's strange. It's
Very
very
strange.
strange.
So, what reality are we calling you from again?
I don't know, man. 6169.
6169. Yeah, anyway, I was just talking about Doctor Strange here, and we knew that we saw it with you, and I was explaining, like, basically everything I felt about it. And all this, I mean, I was thinking about it for the whole week after watching it, like, because it just kept, there was a lot of things that kept kicking around for me.
Yeah, it kind of it lingered within when you after seeing it, and my God,
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw Evil Dead yet, but I'm gonna have to point that out on my behalf.
go for it.
And
Yeah,
so the beginning of
Raimi.
the film, yeah, Sam Raimi, of course. We gotta, of course, have our cheers to him.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
his vision is very much in this movie.
right, and the gloomy camera style he has from Spider-Man 1 to 3, it was all there.
Yep,
Of course, the Danny Elfman soundtrack. You gotta appreciate that.
yep. And the way he experimented with things in this one. There was a lot more he got to play with. Obviously,
Right.
Spider Man, he didn't have to think about horror as a theme, and in this, he got to play with that.
You know, yeah. So I was saying, so the beginning of the film where we have Doctor Strange from, that was Defenders Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah, Defender Strange.
Yeah. So we had that and America Chavez. That opening, to me, it felt like a very good nod. And I don't know if people noticed was a Drag Me to Hell feel.
Okay.
You know, because there was a dimension, and then there was also that feeling like, okay, this is the opening, and this is the motivation for America Chavez per se of
Yeah.
Drag Me to Hell. That was the motivation for the lady that the Bruja, as you called her, the
Right.
witch doctor, and her son got dragged to hell. It was just that same feeling. I don't know what it was,
Oh,
but
that's
it was.
very good, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, she's literally
Yeah,
dragged to Earth 616 in that kind of same way.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it was very exciting to see that, and just a nod to even the Evil Dead nods with the books. It's just all there. I just couldn't believe it,
and
and
we
the fact
can't.
that it was Disney.
Yeah, and we can't forget Bruce Campbell has to make an appearance.
Oh yeah, that's like he's our hero, and
Yeah,
nobody doesn't know it.
yeah, it was great. Obviously, I mean, Raimi had a lot of fun being able to pull from his own works a little bit, and I mean, just the whole thing with horror. I mean, he was able to just nod to all things horror.
you
Even
know,
I was noticing a couple of things actually. Like the way Wanda limps after them is very like much from The Shining, and the way that Jack Torrance is limping after them, you know. and
I did not notice that. I was
and
looking forward to that.
and
One day,
yeah, and
yeah,
then like I mean, obviously the way she crawls out of the mirror is like The Ring, kind of, and the way she
yeah,
comes
definitely,
comes out of the
definitely.
TV. So
Very
it's just
Japanese horror influence
yeah,
right there, and
I
I didn't notice that it was not blood coming out of her face. I didn't notice that. I thought it was at first when we watched it.
oh yeah, what was it?
It was mud because
Oh
they were going through all the tunnels and
right, right.
spoiler alert. Yeah,
There are tunnels in the movie.
yeah, plenty of them. But yeah, so the horror aspect of it, I couldn't believe Disney pulled it off, and it was just amazing. And
Unbelievable.
Bruce Campbell nods. The fact that you brought him up, I hope everybody noticed the fact that it was his hand beating him up because Evil Dead's whole
Mm.
plot is him losing his hand and it getting possessed, and he cuts it off.
Okay, there you
So
go. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's so great. Yeah,
it's beautiful. And Sam Raimi, uh, he would focus on torturing Bruce Campbell behind the camera always. Like every scene he made, it would had to be worse than the last scene.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, so
I felt that too. Wow. Oh, that's
yeah,
so Raimi. So I can't stand when people are saying, feels like Marvel wasn't letting Raimi do his thing. Felt like Marvel wasn't letting Raimi make his movie. No, I felt Raimi in this 100%.
yeah. I don't know why people are saying that there wasn't enough of this, there wasn't enough Raimi. There was plenty, and I mean, are we spoiling or do we hold back on spoilers?
No, no, you spoil. We spoil.
We spoil here, yeah. So, I mean, come on, she killed the Illuminati like it was nothing.
She just massacred them. It was a
Turned
massacre.
Mr. Fantastic into string cheese.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Whatever that was.
I think too there's something to like the fact that there are superhero kind of stories coming out now that are really playing with violence that have never really happened before. There's shows like
Right.
The Boys and Invincible, and I feel like Marvel had to kind of step their game up a little bit when it comes to like violence and gore a little.
Yeah, you're really onto those shows too.
Yeah.
Like since Watchmen era, I feel like that's
Yeah.
where it all like
Yeah.
kind of started to build up.
Oh yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah.
before Watchmen, we had that unfortunate Fantastic Four movie.
Well, we don't have to go there. That exists in
Yeah,
reality.
it exists.
In,
It exists though.
in reality, 7, it's 3, 4. I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, dude. I love getting the horror takes. I gotta call the Monster Realm to get it. Real quick.
Yeah, it's very. It doesn't look too good for the rest of the future of Marvel, and let's see what they can do with the horror realm of it.
Yeah,
Realm.
I was just talking about that.
Zombies. We got. Oh my god! I can't wait.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I think Feige's trying to figure out how he's gonna do this. He's really trying to. He's playing around a little bit. So
Yeah, because we're almost done with this phase, right?
yeah, we're gonna be done with Phase 4 in the next. I think at the end of next year. So once once that happens, it's Phase 5, and Phase 5 is supposed to lead to like the next big event movie. So we'll see what
Beautiful.
happens. Yeah.
So phase by then, definitely Monster Realm will be introduced. I can say that to everybody.
Yeah, if you so go ahead if you want to talk about that at all. I've been hinting at it in the last couple episodes.
Well, yeah, I mean everybody's been wondering what it is too. So
Yeah.
under your production, thank you once again. Yeah, Monster Realm is coming, everyone. I am here working on it. A couple of things to do under construction. You know,
Yeah.
I have the dead as my contract workers, and you know they're not doing so good. I have the other you working with me, but
He's a fucking
he's
guy.
not getting it.
No, he's probably
Yeah.
doesn't like. I have work ethic in my reality over here. He probably doesn't have it over there.
Nah, he's not working with me.
Yeah, he's
He has
just
great
lounging,
powers.
but not great responsibility.
No, definitely not, man.
I don't know if that's
Alright,
where you were
well-
going with that, but that was perfect setup.
Yep, and well, I got some work down here. Got to set up the bar too. Got a couple of customers here.
All right, that sounds good to me. Do you have a rating for us? What was your rating? You can give it a number, or you can give it a to F, numerical, or you can give it a,
Okay, let's give it a rating. So, first of all, I want to count on behalf of the whole kaiju battle in the beginning.
Okay, yeah,
Like, I feel like it's a very underrated scene. No one's talking about
yeah,
because everyone's so overwhelmed with the amazing X-Men nod. So, there was a lot thrown into it in our faces. I'm gonna give it a flat 8 out of 10.
okay,
Honestly.
yeah. You're right. You're right around where I'm at. I'm gonna get to my rating in a minute. But yeah,
Alright.
I gave it a B, solid B.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I agree. Beautiful.
We are on the same page. All right.
Definitely.
It was good to hear from the Monster Realm.
All right. Hey, Ben number 2, dude. Come on, man.
This fucking guy.
All right. Hey, yeah, I gotta take care of you.
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
or-
You gotta get a hold
wait,
on that.
Wait, that one? Oh my god.
Oh, Christ.
All right, yeah, there's a mess down here, man. The dead's all over the place.
Oh, jeez. All right. You might want to call one of the Doctor Stranges to help you out. All
Oh,
right.
no, Wong's busy, but I'll see what I can
Wong, maybe Wong. We'll see.
do. Gotta love Wong. Also, looking forward to his own show, hopefully. MCU,
Yes,
if you're
hopefully
listening.
Wong gets a show. That is a must.
Yes. Oh my God. But hey, man, congratulations on your next episode.
Thanks
See you in
for.
Monster Round, bud.
I appreciate having you. Talk to you soon.
Mm-hmm. All right. Good night, buddy.
Good night.
Are you still recording?
Yep.
How,
All
was
right.
that good?
I'm trying to find the. All right. See ya.
All right. See.
Is he gone? Is he gone? Is he gone? He's gone. All right, and that was the Monster Realm, where Dave Farrow resides. So yeah, what we're trying to do is have a new show under the B Stories branch. That's the new name of my company now. That is the production, Screen Preach Productions, B Studio, B Stories. So B Stories presents to you the Monster Realm with Dave Farrow. We'll see very soon, coming soon, trying to get it ready to go. So, yeah, good. We had to check in with the Monster Realm when we're talking about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's just a must. Let's move on to Halo, and then we can wrap up this episode. Very good one. Yeah, so let me just say my discussion of Halo will be brief. I just thought people should know that for anyone who has played the games, it's so worth watching. But more than that, for anyone who hasn't played the games, you'll be just as hooked as the rest of us, I think. That's the thing. It's just compelling enough. It's as I'll say later too. It's walking a line of mediocrity that's like at times it's falling on both sides of that line, and we're hoping that it lands on the side of greatness, really. But I think it's something you gotta check out. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, the fact that it's something you can watch, no matter what, is that it's the way that they translate the story of the games over to the show. Okay, it's very much its own thing. It's this new sci-fi epic that anyone can jump into. While fans of the game should appreciate it, they really should. When they're not bitching about it, they should appreciate it. The elements of the show that are completely Halo like the game, I appreciated so much. And I know my brother did. I know other people who played the game who really did. They really did. We're getting texts from the Monster Realm, and that's Earth 6169. I don't know if they checked out Halo or if they even have it in that realm. Anyway, we're such fucking nerds. So like for instance, Master Chief, who's stunning to look at when he's all suited up and kicking ass. There's also some pretty unreal action sequences in this season. The way the filmmakers decided to incorporate the looks, feels, and especially the sounds of the game, I thought that was really well done. The use of first-person shooter as a camera angle was also really smart. It was what was smartest about it was that it's not overused. And then we have the fact that the story is actually intriguing. None of us really know where they're going with it. And so it's distant from how the games went about the story. So anything could happen. That keeps us, wanting to know what happens. And they've really grounded Master Chief as a character in this. They've finally humanized him in a way that he's never been before. I mean, he feels like a leading man with a face that we care about. And that's important for a series. It's definitely important for a series. It's one thing when it's a game, but part of me was a little bit annoyed with that at first because I felt like they should have built to that. But at the end of the day, the games have been building to that forever, and this was the time to do it. So there's an aspect, right? There's always been an aspect to Master Chief that's like borderline supernatural or something. In the games, you never see his face. You barely hear him speak. And so there's a mystery to him, and that made him this force of nature. On the bright side, I don't think humanizing him takes that away. He has that presence. There's times in the show when he has that kind of presence, and I think that's why the finale is also important. It's really just this kind of this idea of evolving the character to the right next place he's supposed to go. So he seems to belong on TV, this version of him anyway. Um, and the show is good. It's good. It's the reason it's not great is because there are aspects of it that have there's again it's this flawed outing, right? I think it has the potential to be great. I think it has the potential to fall short. Like I was saying before, I really it needs to avoid structuring it in a manner that pulls us away from the main plot or from Master Chief. There's an episode in the first season that is so blatantly a filler, and I swear I'm gonna make a shirt. It's gonna be the new merch. It's called Fillers or Killers. I'm not even kidding. Now I'm gonna do that, and it's easily the worst episode of the show. And why is that? Because Master Chief and half the cast aren't even in it. So I don't appreciate that, right? It focuses on one of our main characters, Quan, and I think allowing her arc to progress is good, but don't do it while you're neglecting the rest of the main plot. So, like, find a way to do it in a complete episode. And having the multi-perspective narrative is super crucial for something like this. It's how you properly write an epic. That's what I think. An epic with many characters, you need to utilize the multi-perspective at its utmost capacity. It's just super important. I think we don't need this turning into the next Walking Dead. With that being said, it's not like they did that many times throughout the season, but I just don't want to see that become a thing as we go forward. That was the only episode that did that. Character moments in TV that's what they are for me. Moments. Don't make it a whole episode. The only time you should ever do that is, I think, with the main character. And again, maybe it is just me, but fucks with the flow for me. Fucks with the flow. On the bright side of that episode, it ended with some good action. Soren is a great character to watch. I think he also is this character that kicks ass. But here lies Halo's biggest problem of all. It seems to lay groundwork for the plot while laying groundwork for even more plot and then taking a long time to pay those things off. While in the meantime, we have to just keep following the story. It's like it turns into this. Episodes will literally world build or like plot build, and then it's like, okay, that's a lot. And then it doesn't exactly build to something at a proper pace that I would prefer, and instead of these conflicts coming to like this huge head and action sequences, it becomes more talking heads, more plot threads, more character decisions. Sometimes it works, but for the most part, I didn't think it did. The biggest problem with Halo is that while it has amazing Halo-esque set pieces, they are far and few in between. That's what I'm talking about. When there's a great sci-fi action sequence, it's epic, but there's maybe 3 in the entire season. For a show about humans fighting aliens, there needs to be more humans fighting aliens, because it's pretty fucking awesome when we do that. Hence the best episode of the season. Best 2 episodes of the season, best 3, I guess, are the premiere, there's one in the middle, and then the finale. And I think the best episode is definitely Reckoning, and there's this huge moment where the conflict comes to a head at the perfect time. It's good pacing, and Master Chief just goes God mode on the enemy, and it's fucking great. And the finale did end well, although messy at times. I think the writers came up with a very interesting story overall for the season and for the show. It left us hanging nicely for a second season. Yeah, sometimes there's logistical things that make me scratch my head, but not to the point of being insufferable or anything. So, there's that. I think the finale is important for that whole idea of making Master Chief into some kind of mysterious supernatural force again, like we saw in the games, because there is this twist. There's multiple twists in the finale that I think work. Some of it pulling right from the game, but I think having him become not him, spoilers, but that is crucial for bringing him into this, I suppose, next evolution of what we've seen from the games. And I just want to, I do want to know what happens. I do want to know what's next. It's it's super grim almost. Like, it's heartbreaking a little bit. And I think that the finale did work well. But we'll see. We'll see where it stands. As this series ages, that's where I'm at. I'm like, in many ways, I'm like, it's walking this thin line of mediocrity. But what side of the line is it going to fall on? Did I cover myself in that whole take? But yeah, that's it. We got a nice full fucking episode here. I mean, hour and a half, dude. So let's wrap this up. First of all, my ratings. Okay, my ratings of this are as follows. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, 8.3 out of 10. It was good. Like I said to Dave in the Monster Room, I said I gave it a solid B. Moon Knight, 8.6 out of 10. It was really good. Could have been great. Give it like a B plus. And Halo, 7.9. Good. We'll see where that goes. That is that. We're not going to get to our next episode of The Draft because it is a long episode this week. So we're just going to wrap it up with our final segments, as we do. As always, let's go behind the camera. And considering who our director of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was, quite to many of our surprise, and quite to the fact that things can just now be whatever we really crave. The fact that Sam Raimi did this film, we gotta talk about the original Spider-Man from 2002. It makes perfect sense to go behind the camera and look at what went into the making of Sam Raimi's first superhero flick, Spider-Man. The big thing I learned, and it's kind of no surprise, is that it took 17 years to get Spider-Man made. A character as popular as that would naturally attract the attention of certain people. Superhero films were lagging at the time, however, and since being pushed in 1985, pass after pass, Spider-Man could not get made. It forced Marvel to consider cult film powerhouse called Canon Films. They sold the rights for $250,000. Then came a lot of moving around throughout the 90s, from Canon to 21st Century to MGM, and to finally Sony. From there, the picture finally took off. One of the filmmakers who almost made Spider-Man when it was bouncing around was none other than James Cameron himself. He came very close to making it. The directors that were in consideration before Sam Raimi was hired include Roland Emmerich, Chris Columbus, and even David Fincher. Similarly to the director of the film, the star of the film was considered heavily before Tobey Maguire was actually cast. Other candidates included Colin Farrell, Wes Bentley, Heath Ledger, Ewan McGregor, and Scott Speedman. And there's no denying the awesome way that Raimi continues to utilize CGI, even making use of these old school techniques in certain Doctor Strange sequences. But when talking about CGI, did you know that Spider-Man CGI web swinging was so convincing it fooled studio executives Amy Pascal and John Calley? Industrial Light and Magic pioneer John Dykstra did such a good job that when a producer told the executives they had done a test of Toby in the suit crawling on walls, it completely fooled them into thinking it just looked that good. Needless to say, the web swinging is still as iconic as ever after all these years, and Spider-Man will forever be one of the most game-changing superhero movies in cinematic history.
Cheese!
Let's do our question of the week. I have 2 for you this week. Like, I like to do a few now sometimes. And this week, considering everything, I gotta ask, who are the top 5 MCU villains? Now, real quick before I do this. Kingpin, Jigsaw, Kilgrave, some of the Netflix villains, they're in there, but we're going to keep it strictly, even with Kingpin returning and everything. Kingpin is in the top 10 easily. He's in the top 5 possibly. But in terms of just, see, it's so hard. I should have considered Kingpin more, but I think Thanos is always going to be number 1 until somebody tops him. I think Kang has a lot of potential down the road. I think, obviously, there's characters that have so much potential, but Thanos, then Loki, Killmonger, and then, like I said, Wanda Maximoff's in there now. I'll give you 6. I'm going to give you my 6. Wanda's number 4, Winter Soldier, and that whole arc of that character from villain to, I think the way that Vulture was portrayed by Michael Keaton is up there for me. So, and what do all these characters have in common? Why are they great villains? Because they're super empathetic. We understand their point of views or their traumas, or there's things about them we can relate to that makes them slightly relatable, and that makes them really great villains. There's a lot of different reasons, but I think that's my top ones. Of course, Wanda being the newest addition. Another question I have for you, MCU themed, given our episode, is, and it's been something I wanted to, it's me geeking out a little bit, but who's your favorite new character so far in Phase 4? What's your favorite MCU debut so far? For me, it's Moon Knight, because I've been waiting a long time for that character. But Shang-Chi, Yelena, Kate Bishop, Monica Rambeau, Lady Loki, Scarlet Scarab, U.S. Agent, America Chavez, and then any of the Eternals, Echo, any of them. That's kind of my order, too. I suppose Echo's up there a little bit further, though. He's more up there. But what about you? What do you think about these questions? It's a much longer episode than I would have liked to do, but I always end up rambling on things, or things happen nonetheless, I had fun doing it. I will do a new episode of the draft soon enough. I'm still working on my project and everything, so it'll be fun to talk about where I'm at. But as always, got a shout out to the patrons, right? Billy Thomas, Jessica Murphy, Michael Morganti, Linda Morganti, Jack Morganti, Duane Morganti. Family, right? Tijan Construction. Go check out Tijan Construction on Instagram if you want to have your house renovated in the New York area. New York, Westchester County area, preferably, or Putnam. And that's that. That is that. You can find me at Benji Morganti on Instagram. You definitely want to follow the show at Screen Preach. And now you can, my website's still at benmorgantistory.com, so go visit. My whole thing is really, it's B stories. When you run out of A stories, you want Ben stories, right? You want B stories. You want to go check out all my work at benmorgantistory.com, and you should follow the show, follow YouTube, subscribe to B Stories on YouTube. That's where you'll find episodes and what other cool segments and whatnot that I do. And then if you want to become a patron, the new merch, any new merch, I'm gonna do that. Fillers or killers. That's great. That'll be for patrons only. So you want to become a patron, patreon.com/preacher. But other than that, I appreciate anyone who listens or follows or watches or anything, really. I love anything, like even people commenting or wanting to talk about something movie related. I just appreciate any of that. So thank you to anyone who does, and I'll see you next time. Episode 74 will be sooner rather than later. Actually, I'll try my best to get that to you. Got some interesting stuff coming out that we could talk about, so we'll see what it ends up being. In the meantime, have a cinematic week.